seconds, making it the fastest accelerating roller coaster in the world. But the park said it was the first time riders broke their bones on the ride since it went into operation 2 decades ago. So they don't know exactly what's happening, although I don't know, I would speculate it's something to do with the fact that apparently it gives you comparable G forces to what astronauts experience during a rocket launch. Maybe that's part of it. But anyway, Bridget, somehow the super death speed has resulted in injuries. It's a real mystery.
Yeah, it could be the super death speed. That might be what's doing it.
It might be. I think it's the speed. I think it's the speed that's doing it.
I have to say, this might be an unpopular opinion, but when I was growing up, I loved roller coasters. The faster, the bigger, the more like horrible looking, the better when I was a kid. And it wasn't until I broke my tooth on a ride called the Backward Rebel Yell at Kings Dominion in Virginia. Hopefully they've changed that name by now, but wasn't until breaking my tooth on a roller coaster that I stopped riding them. But younger me would have seen this and been like, yes, please, I want to try it out.
Is the Rebel Yell the yell they make when their bones break?
Yes.
That sounds dangerous. Anyway, look, apparently they had gone many years without injuries. So let's just get that out up front. And overall, statistics from the International Association of Amusement Parks and Attractions show that the likelihood of being seriously injured, not like just your tooth, so Bridget wouldn't be counted these numbers, of a roller coaster in a US amusement park is about 1 in 15.5 million rides. So on the one hand, it is super unlikely that you will be injured. On the other hand, I watched that Final Destination movie back in the day, so I'm never getting on one again. Why is this happening? Well, some people are speculating that riders are leaning forward and that causes them to be injured. It's a good theory. Sort of doubt that for the first 20 years, nobody leaned forward, so it doesn't necessarily convince me. It is possible that wear and tear is causing it. We also have theories in our chat with Brookmark saying that where's the comment? It's because we've all been sitting around doing nothing and their bodies are deteriorating like the rest of us. Someone said we're all becoming mush people. So I don't know, maybe we're less capable of experiencing this, but I feel like it doesn't have to be that fast. Like a supercar goes 0 to 60 in like 3 or 4 seconds. That seems fast enough for me. I don't think that you need to double this. So anyway, it's suspended right now, Bridget. Perhaps they'll be able to figure out what's causing the injuries and bring it back. But I worry that a broken neck or a back today could be someone actually dying in a couple of years. So that's the worry.
Yeah, I mean, nobody wants to get on a roller coaster and then have it be the last choice they ever made. So hopefully they're able to figure it out. But would you ride this if they were able to get it sorted out? Would you ride this?
Maybe, I don't know. That did look pretty cool. I'm not the biggest roller coaster person, but that did look pretty cool. We'll see, maybe. Anyway, I see this super chat. Robert Ryder sent in a big super chat saying in Leslie's honor, everyone's honoring Leslie today. Leslie started something. Robert, thank you so much. Thank you everybody out there. You know, a special thanks to Bridget. Bridget, thank you for joining us in this episode. So where can people listen to your work?
You can find my podcast, There Are No Girls on the Internet, at Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, wherever you get your podcast on. You can follow me on Instagram at Bridget Marie in DC or on Twitter at Bridget Marie.
Thank you, Bridget. It's always a pleasure to have you on. Have a good one.
You too.
And for those of you at home, let me read just a few more of your comments before we close things out. Feral Dragon said, COVID world, Taliban enforces women wearing face coverings. Women will be the only ones protected from COVID while right-wing men fend right-wing men off themselves. Maybe a silver lining, I don't know. I guess we'll take what we could get. Let's see, a reference to the story about the evictions. And Arctic Prime says, hold on, it only takes $2,500 to convince a member of Congress to look away as millions of families, children included, to be thrown on the streets. Yes, basically. I mean, a little bit more than that, but not nearly as much as it should. Considering the millions they raise, they seem to be swayed by very small amounts of money. Apologize for that. Hey, I missed the hype train completing at level 5 with 30 sub gifts and 2,100 bits contributed. Thank you to everybody who participated in that, including Blue Tech, who gifted 3 tier 1 subs, much appreciated. Crits by Design, who subscribed for 4 months, says the streak lives on. Happy to support John and TYT. Thank you all for covering all the crazy we are living through in Texas. Hashtag Bezos Bucks. Thank you, and thank you to all of you. Reminder: we've got the poll up. on the future of Jeopardy at tyt.com/polls. Tomorrow on Big News Wednesday, we'll be giving you the results of that. I'm about to leave, but don't go anywhere because in just a little bit over at youtube.com/indisputable_tyt, you can watch Indisputable with Dr. Rashad Ritchie and Adrienne Lawrence. It should be an awesome episode. You're not gonna wanna miss it. I don't know what that was, but for now, stay safe out there, stay sane out there, keep your shoulders protected out there, and I'll see you soon.
What's happening? Welcome to Indisputable. Good to be with you. We got a lot of show today, breaking down news of the day with me, none other than Adrienne Lawrence, attorney at law, TYT contributor and author. Also, the Bullpen debate segment. I will have Carrie Sheffield, senior policy fellow at Independent Women's Forum. She says there's a big difference between Governor Cuomo and what he did to women and what Donald Trump did to women. This is going to be interesting. Ladies and gentlemen, my top story for today. A good district attorney has announced charges against 3 cops for lying under oath and for violating their public trust, which led to the incarceration of a black man for 25 years, a man that never should have been arrested in the first place. Let me give you this highlight. Philadelphia DA has announced charges for 3 cops who lied under oath on Friday, August 13th, that 3 former Philadelphia police officers are facing criminal charges, including perjury, in relation to a miscarriage of justice that put an innocent man in prison for 25 years. Now, I say often on this program, leadership matters. Leadership matters. Let's put up a picture of this one guy who made a difference here, okay? That's your district attorney. That's Larry Krasner. Larry Krasner is supported by people like Bernie Sanders and others who are transformational political figures. A grand jury recommended criminal charges against former homicide detectives Manuel Santiago, Martin Devlin, and Frank Jastrzemski on the basis of their testimony in the 2016 retrial of Anthony Wright. Let's put up a picture of Mr. Anthony Wright. That's Mr. Anthony Wright, wrongfully convicted of rape and murder of an elderly woman. Spent 25 years in prison because of dirty ass cops. Let me go back to the background of these cops. In the 2016 retrial of Anthony Wright, remember this is the retrial, whose 1993 conviction for the rape and murder of an elderly woman was vacated on the basis of DNA evidence in 2014. The detectives are accused of lying on the witness stand during Wright's retrial. That is why the statute of limitations started over. They lied at the retrial. Obviously, they lied during the initial trial as well. And the lying during the retrial threatened to send Mr. Wright back to prison for the rest of his natural life. Once again, Mr. Wright has been exonerated. The detectives, each of whom has served with the department for more than 25 years. You're talking about a real good old boy network here. They turned themselves in last Friday. They were released on bail and a hearing is scheduled for later in the month. Each of the detectives, each have been mentioned in at least 4 different cases in which defendants were ultimately exonerated. Let me give you a little more context to that. These witnesses that they brought up, the testimony they provided was questionable from day one. And because of this new information, they are being researched and investigated for all of these other supposedly solved crimes in that department, okay? This is a quote from the district attorney. DA Krasner says, and I quote, "These charges are an indication that a Philadelphia jury, in this case a grand jury, can carefully look at evidence and can understand that the law must apply equally to people, whether they are in law enforcement or supposed to be served by law enforcement." This is all we've been saying since day one. You see, there's a level of corruption in damn near every industry under the sun. The issue is not corruption. The issue is the immunity from accountability and responsibility, and yes, prosecution when required. And that is what has been happening with law enforcement too long in this country. They have been exonerated, they have been given immunity when they should have been held accountable. So let me give you some background as to what happened. On October 19th, 1991, a 77-year-old woman, Louise Talley, was found dead in her Philadelphia home by police. She had been raped and stabbed to death. Horrific crime. Police said someone told them that Mr. Wright, the wrongfully convicted guy, had committed the crime and directed them to a nearby home where a man named Roland St. James was arrested after he told police he rented the space to people who smoked crack. A television belonging to this 77-year-old elderly woman who's dead was found there, according to the police. At the police station, James, under the impression that he was the primary suspect in this murder, signed a statement saying that Mr. Wright told him he had killed Talley and stolen the television. Another man staying at the home, John Richardson, also had been brought to the station, and he signed a statement claiming that it was Mr. Wright who asked him to be a lookout while he entered this 77-year-old's victim's home. All of this was a lie. 100% coerced, fabricated by the police, coerced out of these supposed witnesses. It gets deeper. The police brought Mr. Wright to the police station, and these detectives all claimed that within a matter of hours, he had signed a typed confession admitting to the rape and murder of Miss Talley. On June 8th, 1993, the jury convicted Mr. Wright of capital murder, rape, theft, burglary, robbery, and weapons violation on the basis of testimony from James Richardson and two teenagers who claimed they saw Mr. Wright enter the home. He was sentenced to life in prison. All of these witness statements were lies, coerced by the detectives who coordinated their efforts in order to convict one man, Mr. Wright. Let's put up Mr. Wright's picture again, the victim of the criminal justice system. That poor soul. Look at him. He gave the system 25 years and did not owe them 25 minutes. It continues. By 2013, after 8 years of Wright appealing to have DNA evidence examined in the case, testing showed that another man named Ronnie Bird had committed the rape. He had already died in prison by that time. The following year, the district attorney's office agreed to vacate Wright's sentence. Now I want to show you how diabolical these SOBs are. They know he didn't do it. He doesn't get released immediately. The DNA evidence not only cleared him, but showed them exactly who did it because the person was in the system. They still do not overturn the conviction they vacated, which means he can be prosecuted again. The district attorney at that time, Seth Williams, decided to prosecute Mr. Wright again, but this time with a new theory of the crime, saying, oh, well, okay, so he didn't do it, but he was an accomplice to the crime, leading to the retrial. The cops lied at the retrial. Everybody saw through the damn lies, and Mr. Wright has now been fully exonerated. They know he didn't do it. Think about that. The DNA evidence not only exonerated the man, it proved who did it. And they still tried to prosecute him with lying cops. hoping that the words of these lying police officers would outweigh the actual science of DNA. And it did not, because there are people who are woke now. Adrienne, you're an attorney. Wow, all of these twists and turns, and then they still try to convict this man under a new prosecutorial theory.
You know, you said diabolical, and that would be the completely and totally accurate word. It's just so disheartening that our system is operating like this, where we see people be essentially accused of crimes that they didn't commit, and then having officers, detectives like these 3 cops go out of their way to falsify evidence, to create a story and a narrative, while the individual who's actually guilty of these rapes and murders is out there on the streets. Lord knows that individual may have continued to commit more crimes, but because these detectives decided to pin the offense on an innocent man, we're never gonna know if that individual was out there causing more harm to our society, and not to mention the harm to Mr. Wright, spending 25 years of his life behind bars for something he did not commit, and to continually be accused of it. The fact that he's exonerated, yes, it is a powerful thing, but at the same time, that's 25 years of his life. Yep. And I would be remiss not to bring up the fact that it's Black people who suffer the most when we're talking about false convictions, when we're talking about innocent people. Black people are just 13% of the US population, yet 47% of innocent people who are exonerated. And we also know that innocent Black people are convicted at a rate of 8 times that of innocent white people when it comes to murder. The fact is that we have these false accusations, we have these narratives, and when the justice system plays a role in perpetuating that and pointing fingers falsely, what we have is nothing but injustice.
That's right. The city, the city of Philadelphia, they did settle with Mr. Wright $9.8 million. Not enough, not even close. There's nothing you can do to give this man back 25 years that you stole from him. Let me shift gears. Proud Boy leader has now apologized for burning a Black Lives Matter flag. He has been sentenced to 5 months in prison. The leader of the far-right group Proud Boys was sentenced to a little more than 5 months in jail after admitting that he did burn a Black Lives Matter banner taken from a historic Black church. This was in Washington during a pro-Trump rally. Many of you remember that. It was a viral moment, all right? Henry Tarrio. Let's put up a picture of this prolific snitch. Now, I'm not calling him a prolific snitch. That's what the attorneys called him in actual court filings. He's considered to be a snitch, all right? Known to his followers as Enrique, was arrested on January 4th in Washington on a warrant stemming from an incident on December 12th. The Proud Boys and other groups marched in a rally through downtown. The banner was stolen from Asbury United Methodist Church, one of the oldest Black churches in Washington. Federal prosecutors recommended a sentence. Now I want you to get this. Federal prosecutors only recommended 90 days. Now I want you to think about this. This guy burned a Black Lives Matter banner, all right, stole it from an historically Black church, burned it, and the prosecutor said, let's give him 90 days in jail, followed by 3 months of probation, and an order forbidding him to return to Washington. They said his burning of the banner had profound emotional and psychological effect upon the church and its members, and that he bragged openly about it, saying on social media, I am damn proud of it. But here's the thing, the judge said, nope, that's not enough time. The prosecutors said, give him 90 days. The judge said, nope, you're gonna have to give him more time than that. So the judge actually added the additional time on this. I only have a couple of minutes. But I do think it's a damn shame he only got 5 months. I also think it's a shame that the prosecutors were asking for even less. Adrienne, what are your thoughts here?
I couldn't agree with you more. The fact is that Mr. Tarrio, he has done more flips than Simone Biles. He turns on everyone, so you would have thought he would have gotten a lower sentence, or he would have gotten the 90 days from prosecutors. But to see this judge step up and say, no, I'm gonna give you 5 months. He is going to serve all 155 days, that's how much he has, behind bars, which is great. But the average stay for an individual in the DC men's jail is 363 days. And so the thought that he is going to spend spend just about half that amount. It doesn't sit that well with me, but I'm sure with his antics, he may find himself incarcerated once again in the future.
Yeah, unless he keeps snitching. Now, if he keeps snitching, he may get out of it. All right, anyway, I digress. Next story. This is so interesting. Kim Klacik, okay, is seeking $20 million against Candace Owens. All right, this is Republican on Republican crime here. This is just so interesting to me. Obviously, two black women who are conservatives are going at each other. Former Republican congressional candidate Kimberly Klacik has sued Candace Owens. In the suit, she alleges Owens defamed her in a social media post that caused her to lose multiple financial deals. I actually agree. I agree with her assessment, and I agree with the defamation. Candace Owens went completely out of line here. The suit filed on July 21st in Baltimore County Circuit Court seeks $20 million in monetary damages after Owens alleged in a June 22nd Instagram video that Klacik committed campaign fraud and money laundering, used drugs, worked at a strip club. That's according to court documents. The lawsuit filed in Baltimore County Circuit Court alleges Klacik lost a book deal, had politicians cancel fundraising appearances, and lost a contract with a nationally recognized vendor after Owens posted the video June 22nd. It was a 44-minute video. Let's go to some of that video from Candace Owens.
I just asked her outright, does Kimberly Klacik work at this club? Like, are these images doctored in any way? And she said they're 100% not doctored. I know her very well. I have partied with her. Her and her husband have been scamming people for millions. And she said, and I'm going to be very strong, that there's no way that I, Candace Owens, can confirm this, but she said it to me in writing, that they used campaign money to do cocaine in the strip club. And she said I have all the receipts and I can prove it, sort of a thing. And I was like, whoa, okay, well that's different, because what this stripper is alleging would be a crime, obviously. And I can't possibly verify that information. Like, there's no way to verify that. Give me 1 second, I just need to literally blow my nose, hold on.
Wait a minute. The person uses cocaine. The individual launders money. She's a stripper. This person, mysterious individual who remains anonymous, said they have receipts, and I need to go blow my nose after saying all of this damaging stuff about another individual. The lawsuit actually does have some legs here, in my opinion. Quickly, we got about 30 seconds. Adrienne Lawrence, was this defamation?
Okay, first of all, I have to say stripping, sex work, that is work. So let's not try to defame that. But also, Candace Owens is probably gonna beat this because she hedged everything. She said, I was told this information, there's no way I can verify it, they're allegations. So I think Candace Owens came into this knowing that she is planting seeds, but the way in which she said it, she was saying, I don't know that this is fact, but this is what I've heard. So I think she might be just fine in this lawsuit.
Let me ask you this quickly before we go. Is there any way where in a court proceeding, the record can be subpoenaed as it relates to how she got the information, or even if somebody sent her that information, was that made up, was that fabricated, can they get that information?
What they would do is during a deposition or discovery, they would ask Candace Owens to provide that information, and she would be compelled to under the court, but I don't think it's gonna go that far, because based on the video itself, again, what Candace Owens was saying was not purported to be fact, and Candace made that clear, and thus it would not qualify for defamation. Of course, I haven't seen the entire video, but from what you just showed, Candace Owens will skate through this and be just fine, and back to her Republican fear-mongering, race-baiting self.
Damn, it sounds like Candace Owens talked to a lawyer before she did the video. Okay, all right, we got more on the other side. It's indisputable, stick and stay.
Well, the Young Turks, the Friday show is gonna be awesome. We're gonna help us over here. Drop it. We became the first ever daily online web television show.
No, the Constitution is the very core of America. The fact that we don't spy on American citizens, that we get a warrant, that we go to a judge, that we have a procedure, that we have due process, that is America.
On top of it, they go, why don't they just stay at their own schools? You gotta realize something. These schools suck. They want people to pull themselves up by their bootstraps. You ain't got no straps, you ain't got no boots.
He lit these fires in trash bins all around town out of frustration.
99th most viewed channel today on YouTube.
The Shorties Award. Best Web Host. We passed 1 billion views. Voice Award winner, News and Information Channel, The Young Turks. Oh, another Webby.
The Young Turks.
Can I curse? Yeah! For those of you watching on live stream, yes, we have adopted a pet iguana that showed up at our door.
Haunted version in the dark with our silhouettes.
Now let's get to the best line of the debate. And it was definitely the one against police. I told you we were coming.
When you talk about it, when it becomes a problem. Our lack of gun control is a problem.
Nonsense BS story is hurting that cause, and they need to wake up and recognize that they are being had by these people.
Biggest gang in America. Question is, how do we make sure that we blame the person who is dead? What kind of democracy is that?
We should never forget that the most powerful people in the world exploited the greatest tragedy in American history to go to war in a country that had a lot of oil.
Rolling thunder. That's what this show is.
Never in my life did I think I would like to see a dictator. But if there's going to be one, I want it to be Trump.
Tick-tock, tick-tock.
Where's the line? We've crossed every line you can imagine.
We are a socialist country. It's socialism for the rich.
Tick-tock, tick-tock.
You don't have to know the truth, just believe what they tell you.
There is no bounds to their monstrous hypocrisy. Tick-tock. I think we're gonna win the Senate in 2020. And I think we're gonna have the House, and I think we're gonna have the presidency. Tick-tock. And in 2020, we're going to clean your clock, and we're gonna run you out of town, and we're gonna have an actual democracy in this country. November of 2020 could also be potentially the greatest day of our lives. Let us whisper of a dream.
Say hi to the camera.
I don't like this.
All right, what's happening? Welcome back. We got some comments. Let me read as many as I can. TYT member, before I get to that, make sure you stick around after the show. Deep dive with the big homie Jordan Yule. All right, so stick and stay for that. All right, TYT member Eric the Red. Cops arrested. Quick, check for flying pigs. Mickey C, the silver-haired dragon says, as an innocent man went to prison, a murdering rapist went free. That's right. How many other women did he rape and or murder in the last 30 years?
Yep.
Just Be Anti-Racist says, Mr. Wright's tragedy breaks my heart and brings tears to my eyes, both because the empathy I feel for him and the anger towards the injustice system we have throughout the United States. Bless Mr. Wright. Yeah, they really tried to do him in, didn't they? All right, YouTube super chat. Adam DeMont says, haha, I'm down laughing off Adrienne's line about that guy flipping more than Simone Biles. So funny. Yeah, that was a good one. Bernie the Kiwi Dragon. I'd like to ask our in-house lawyer, would sharing Karen videos on a YouTube show affect a case against them in court under UK law? Or if you are not sure. What about under US law? Thank you both. You wanna answer that one?
Sure, I can answer it under UK law, but generally the thought is that an individual will claim that they can't get a fair trial, but if it's being shared on the internet and it's going everywhere, going viral, then the individual is gonna get the same trial they would in their particular jurisdiction, as well as if they move to a different county. So, no, it's probably not gonna do much. It's largely about the impact it has on the people in that local area.
Got it. All right, Kelly O'Hara says, this is my poet. Don't burn a flag if it's red, white, and blue, but anything else, we won't say boo. They do racist-ish and think it's sublime. Reclaiming my time.
Yes.
Bars. All right, Pitchfork says, here's a sentence I never thought I'd say. Good for the DA. Man, that's weird to say. I know it's hella weird, right? Okay, let's go to Roger Harris says, justice on my birthday, but damn, man, 25 years? Yep. Roger Harris also says, on a lighter note, Marvel should cast Adrienne Lawrence in Black Panther 2. Oh, that'd be so dope. That'd be so awesome. Cool. Yeah. All right. For Primus, Candace is mad because Kim is messing up all that right-wing grifter scam. That's right. John F. McDropout says the doc is amazing. Keep kicking butt, Dr. Richie, and thank you. I think you're amazing too. Jax Drax says, cops love lying like right-wingers love fake news. Whatever it takes to make their false reality seem real. Yeah, and just think about this. These guys lied 25 years ago. They lied again, then they lied again. They kept the lie going. Terry Barrio says, that is too funny. Get Owens good. We'll see what happens with that case. All right, ladies and gentlemen, this is quite interesting and a good thing. A police department is now saying we're not pulling people over anymore for traffic stops. Kind of. Let me give you some background. Minneapolis police, they're going to end traffic stops for lesser violations. The police in Minneapolis will no longer be able to pull over cars for low-level violations like expired license plates and air fresheners hanging from rear view mirrors. Now, if you remember, we have seen these, what they call pretextual stops, lead to the death of other individuals. But more than that, or more numeric than that, the number of people that these pretextual stops actually discriminate against. It is utilized as a pretext in order for other discriminatory behavior. Mayor Jacob Frey, let's put up a picture of this mayor. Once again, another leader who is a game changer, all right? Mayor Jacob Frey said Friday that he and police chief Madiria Arredondo, let's put up a picture of the police chief, okay? These are two men, ladies and gentlemen, from different walks of life, different cultures. They have come together and they are actually supporting good policy. So you have the mayor and the police chief. They have all but finalized a new policy that will eliminate so-called pretextual stops by officers. We will soon end stops solely for offenses like expired tabs or items dangling from the mirror. Expired tags is what that should be, according to the mayor, all right? Although a Friday statement from the mayor's office said it would take effect immediately, a spokesperson for Freto, an NBC affiliate of Minneapolis, that details were still being worked out. The policy was held by justice reform advocates after a series of high-profile shootings in Minnesota that highlighted the often slippery slope from low-level violation to violent confrontation. Police killings of Philando Castile, 32, in 2016 in St. Anthony. George Floyd, 46, Minneapolis last year. Dante Wright, 20 years of age in Brooklyn Center in April. All of these made Minnesota a focal point for justice reform efforts. It is so sad that it took the blood of these individuals to be spilled on the pavement in order for reform to take place. The ACLU of Minnesota, they called the new policy, and I quote, a good step. It's time to end policies that penalize people for being poor, the organization tweeted. The Police Officers Federation of Minneapolis did not immediately respond to a request for comment, but I guarantee you when they do release their comment, it will not be in support of what has happened here. Adrienne Lawrence, you being a trained attorney working in this arena, you know good and damn well a lot of these pretextual stops are used in order to target specifically Black and brown people, but also by connection, it targets individuals who are poor, who did not have the money to pay for the license tag to not be expired. Remember, if you're driving with an expired license tag, if you could pay it, you would have paid it, damn it. You would have took care of that fee, and you're risking a lot trying to get to work, trying to take care of your responsibilities, knowing that you have an expired tag. That's a money issue. That's not a criminal issue.
Absolutely, it's a matter of economics oftentimes, and yet people can find themselves thrust into the system or even thrust into the grave because of their encounter with police. And what we have to bear in mind as well is that the justice system has really upheld this. In 1996, the US Supreme Court ruled in Rant versus United States that pretextual stops, traffic stops, are completely lawful. So as long as the police have an objective violation that they have found. So if they say, like in Philando Castile's situation, that it's a broken taillight or that it's expired tags, and they just have a hunch and want to investigate further, it's perfectly fine as long as they have that objective violation. And so now that we have states essentially stepping in and saying, no, we are going to ban this, you cannot do this anymore, it's going to be huge, particularly when it comes to racial profiling in pretextual stops, as we do know by research that Black and brown people are subject to them far more. And so just because the US Supreme Court has said it's okay, does not mean that it's okay for our society, because there are individuals who look like me and you who are suffering the consequences of individuals' unconscious bias and also just plain out police misconduct.
You know, Dick Gregory said something to me before he passed away, obviously. He said something to me about maybe 6 years ago. He said, be very careful to not assume what is legal is right. And we have a tendency in our American culture to believe what is legal is right and what's illegal is wrong. And he broke this thing down to me, Adrienne, how wrong means morally reprehensible, right meaning righteous or spiritually righteous. And yes, I agree with you, even though the US Supreme Court says this is allowable, this is permissible, this is legal, it doesn't mean it's right. It doesn't mean it's ethical. It doesn't mean it is moral.
Nope, you're absolutely right about that. You know, the fact is, in what there are states where you can marry someone at the age of 14, but really just because it is lawful, which is essentially rules put in place by those who stand to benefit from those rules, it doesn't necessarily mean it's right. And we also see this very much in what drugs are legalized, like alcohol. We have study after study showing how that toxin is essentially gonna be the death of you and me by way of drunk driving and violence, yet at the same time it's legal, and in a number of states and still at the federal level, cannabis is illegal, despite the fact that we don't have evidence of it being as harmful and detrimental to society. The reality is we need people to think more and also to run for office so we can change these ignorant, backwards laws.
There you go, very well said. You want to change policy, change people. That's how it works. Ladies and gentlemen, I wish a Karen would.
You want to call the police on them for having a barbecue on a Sunday.
I feel free. Back off! I'm going to tell them there's an African-American man threatening my life.
You want to say it to my face?
Yeah, say it to your face. An ugly out of my town.
What are you?
I am your wife, you mother. Get the fuck out of here. You get the fuck out of my town.
You racist bitch?
Yes, I am. You're talking to me. You're nothing to me. You're stinky.
Look who's talking. Look at your feet.
Look at my feet. Yeah, you know what? I'm a witch. We're supposed to be drowned, you dumb. You know nothing about witches. You want to you'll see what happens.
No, just
Curry all over my parts. The spices. Disgusting. Language. Disgusting. Yep, that's right. I'm the Canadian here. I'll speak my languages on yours.
It's actually entertaining.
No, not goodbye. You goodbye. And then I don't have to goodbye. Since you didn't pay yet. You don't even live here. You.
You're so lucky to have my child, and you're older. Otherwise, you're wrong.
Oh yeah? You scare me? You scare me? You
These kids all around. We're in a park.
English. You scare me?
Go home.
You know what scares me?
Hey, not a daughter, man. Chill out. Don't swear in front of my daughter.
I have my daughter in my house.
You know what? No. Talk your language in front of me then, and I will. I don't even know my language. My language. Otherwise, you.
Damn. Canada. We have found the wicked witch of the West. Now, she says she's a witch. That you got to be careful dealing with her. This Karen, obviously racist, hurling racial slurs. And the way she's working her device there, she's quite proficient. And I thought it was really ironic that, how angry she was because people dared to do something as simple as speak another language in front of her. But once again, what's the commonality here, ladies and gentlemen? The commonality is a white female wanting to put other folks in their place, and these other folks, she says they don't belong here, is the sentiment. That's the commonality for many of these Karens. Adrienne, you saw that. What a display. What's your thought?
You know what? It shows you that it doesn't matter what nation is involved, that there is racism, xenophobia everywhere. And this is definitely the Wicked Witch of the North up there in Canada. Her and her little motorized scooter. It also shows you that somebody can have disabilities physically and they can still oppress other people. It does not matter when it comes to white supremacy, when it comes to xenophobia. There are individuals who will continue to perpetuate it, even if they are individuals who are oppressed themselves to a certain extent. But I will tell you, if that woman was interacting with me at that level and also zipping around on that scooter, it would have been problems, because I don't know if she's gonna run over me, come at my children, but it's just disgusting and disturbing. And people need to be ready, because some of us have to stay ready. And so she came a little bit too close for comfort on my end. And
listen, that scooter was breaking all kind of speed limit records. I've never seen a scooter move that fast. That must be a Canadian thing.
I don't know, maybe, they kind of jailbroke it in some way, throw on some kind of exhaust, then it can, but either way, I just gotta be ready to throw down, because that woman was having a very, very serious, potentially dangerous moment for everyone.
Yeah, it really was, and horrific. Hopefully, because of videos like this, not only does it create a mirror to the society, it creates a mirror to that individual. Sometimes you gotta see yourself in certain moments in order to be reflective of your own soul. We got more on the other side. It's indisputable. Stick and stay.
We are onto something that is going to be amazing, but what we need is your help.
The number one problem is there's too much power in too few hands.
Every single problem that we have can be traced back to dark money.
They take large donors, they serve large donors.
So these handful of gatekeepers try to dictate everything.
Like all of you already know, they don't work for you, they work for their donors. So fire them and hire people who will only work for you, that say no corporate backed money.
We are going to change the way we elect candidates in this country.
Uncorrupted Democrats. We're gonna fight for the issues and win on policy.
This is incredibly personal. We need free healthcare for everyone.
We're fighting for $15 minimum wage, single payer healthcare, debt-free college, and we are gonna get money out of politics once and for all.
I've taken a public pledge not to accept any corporate money.
Because the last thing we're gonna do is go into another presidential election and run a corporatist
against a populist candidate.
At some point, the buck needs to stop, and it's gonna stop with us. It's gonna stop with Justice Democrats.
So who are we?
People who do not take corporate PAC money.
We're relying on small donors.
99.9% of our contributions came from people.
You're a Justice Democrat, so you don't take any corporate PAC money.
I'm not influenced by money.
As a Justice Democrat, I made that pledge.
Not a betting.
Absolutely no.
I will go to Congress unbossed and unbought.
We try to create a government which works for all of us.
That is what America's about, and that's what a representative democracy should be about.
We are just getting warmed up here.
Vote for uncorrupted Democrats. The fight starts now, it starts today, and it starts with you.
I've been honest with him. Like, yeah, I was upset with you and I shouldn't have done it. But instead I was like, I'm just trying to protect my engagement ring.
Did you know that more than 20% of the world's oxygen comes from the Amazon? Why? Because of trees. I know what you're thinking. Of course! So what do we want to do? We want to plant more trees so we can save the climate. It's quite literal. So that's what leads to our new partner, Plant Your Change. Love it. It's so easy. What they do is you take the credit or debit cards you already have and you plug it into the system. And if you so choose, you get to round up every purchase to the nearest dollar and they plant a tree for you, okay? Now you could also choose if you wanna do it on only certain kinds of purchases or only so often, right? And there's nothing wrong with that. But literally every cent makes a difference here. It's Plant Your Change. And if you wanna know more information, just go to tyt.com/trees. Let's go save the planet together.
Now, top. No. 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 Today, a terrible day for the internet, a terrible day for America. The internet as we know it is not going to exist anymore.
A real dark day for information and yet another way that they're bleeding out the democracy.
We're now going to have these gatekeepers of information deciding what we can and can't see, and that's what scares me the most.
Whether you're conservative or progressive or anywhere in the middle, this is the one thing we should all agree to. Protect the internet, because the establishment is coming for it. Don't let them destroy the internet.
What's happening? Welcome back. We got a lot of show left. Let's get to some of these amazing viewer comments. TYT member Biden Flavor Corn Pop says, hey, Dick Gregory was right about that because it's legal doesn't make it right. So many white people grow up knowing this. Potion Seller says, Fast and Furious, Karen brings a bad name to witches and Canadians. Yes, she does.
For real.
Okay, super chat. Andrew Sai says, it takes a crooked police chief to cook up a false pretext. Yoda Speed, Peter, Hamby, and Kelly M, thank you all for those generous super chats. E. Smith says, Adrienne is here with Rashad, so I have to watch and listen. Exactly. That's exactly what happens. That's why she's on the show. Harmon Voice says, NGL, I figured that out. The absolute striking, most gorgeous thing about Adrienne is her absolutely powerful intelligence. That's the ticket right there, buddy.
Thank you.
Prima Mad Huria, Dick Gregory was the man, yes. Robin Seg says, Karen's got wheelchairs now. This is why I keep 2 phones on my person. 2, damn. I know I'm gonna butcher this. Zach Horov Lopatov. I'm so sorry. I think Adrienne would make an excellent She-Hulk, if not a Black Panther. But she is a Black Panther. Yeah. Okay. And by the way, the She-Hulk character is a lawyer, actually.
Excellent.
Sonic Boom, Dragon 23. Okay, side note, Adrienne is a queen. And then they got a bunch of hearts and stuff for you.
Oh, what's all this Adrienne love today? Thank you.
It's a lot of Adrienne love. Well, you deserve it. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, next story. Capitol rioter, an admitted Capitol rioter, this guy's a terrorist, has admitted to what happened at the Capitol and threatened school board members. What state is this? I will give you one guess. Florida. Okay, Florida. So a Florida man who claims to have participated in the January 6th insurrection was also filmed threatening to visit the homes of school board members who showed up to support mask mandates. Here's the video.
Yes, I was there.
Really? All right, were you inside?
I actually was. Go ahead.
Did you go inside? Did you take
I did, and I was there with a police officer, and I'm on video. It was syphilis.
Perfect.
Yeah, that's one of the guys who was harassing protesters outside of a school board meeting in Brevard County, Florida. And that's him admitting to participating in the January 6th insurrection and even being inside the Capitol. Now, he claims the FBI isn't interested in him, except this is an image from their most wanted page in regards to the insurrection. And pretty damn sure that's him. But let's set aside the insurrection for a moment. Let's deal with the things he said and did at that board meeting.
No masks will be enforced at the schools because
what are you going to do
they don't like the crowd out here. How do you think they'll like the crowd in front of their house, which is where this goes next?
So you're threatening.
You taught us how to talk. Oh yes, I know where they all live, and we will show up in numbers.
His blood vessels are.
Make me famous. Make me famous.
These are the pro-loving people.
If you
Margaret
make me
Sanger,
famous, and I see your
who said abort baby, and the blacker the better.
I'm coming after you.
That's Margaret.
Can you all go ahead and lock his ass up now? What is it going to take? He has admitted to committing criminal acts at the US Capitol. Remember, if he was there inside of the Capitol, he has admitted to a criminal act on federal property, lock him up, okay? He has now threatened school board members. Those are terroristic threats. What is it going to take? What more does he need to do? He also made a request. I'm going to oblige him. He said, make him famous. We're gonna do that. And so that's why he will be on YouTube later today. All right, Adrienne, really interesting. The guy admits he was at the Capitol. There's a picture that looks very similar to him on the FBI's wanted list. They're trying to figure out who certain people are. He makes a threat to school board members in that local area. We have not been able to fully identify this individual, at least not by way of verification. Problematic?
Oh, well, problematic for them, helpful for the feds. You know what? It's like he wants this attention. Here it is. You are soon going to be hearing a knock at your door. I don't understand these people. It's like you don't have enough time on your hands, or you're just not learning. You're seeing other people being hauled away and sitting in DC jails awaiting their trial. It's like, you want a piece of that? Okay, help yourself out by just keeping your mouth shut. If you're gonna commit a crime, at least be good at it. And this individual, clearly, they just don't know how to stay silent. That's on them.
You know why I think these people are so bold about their participation, listing it on their own social media, talking about it on dating sites, bragging about it among their friends, talking about it on video. The reason why I believe that they feel so comfortable admitting to federal offenses is because nothing's happening to them. They're getting a slap on the wrist. That's it. That's all they're getting. The vast majority of them are serving absolutely no jail time. The common penalty as far as fee is $500, okay? And these individuals inside of their own collective circles, they become superheroes to the people that they care about as far as opinions are concerned, right? So let's count the ways here. You pay $500 for a bunch of PR for your base. You don't have to serve any jail time because the prosecutors are not being heavy-handed with these individuals. They're not even being, in my opinion, appropriate to the prosecution of these individuals. They're being light in this prosecution. Even a federal judge made a note of that at one point. So I think part of the calculation here, Adrienne, is that they see what the penalty is. The penalty is not egregious, and they're bragging about it and telling people to post it on social media and make them famous. But I guarantee you, if these folks were getting 5 years, 10 years, if they were being charged with everything you could possibly throw at them, if the DOJ wanted to make examples out of these insurrectionists, they would not be so emboldened to brag about it. What are your thoughts about that?
Well, the thing on whether someone is deterred depends on the swiftness, the severity, and also, swiftness, severity, and the certainty of the punishment. And the fact is that it has not been swift. January 6th was a long time ago. Not everybody's been caught or tried. The severity, as you've noted, has been low. And the certainty, I don't know. It seems to be pretty certain, but I don't know that the officers in the federal law enforcement anytime soon. But anyways, I don't think that people who are sitting in positions of privilege in our society to begin with are going to be very deterred, and that they will have that air of arrogance and go out there. But I think the thing that could catch up with them is if they hold important positions, important jobs in society, and then all of a sudden they're without their jobs. We saw that with a gentleman in Illinois who was a CEO, and all of a sudden he lost his big job because he was at the Capitol. So I think that's the way to hit them, but it's not showing enough that the hitting is hurting for these people to maybe not engage in this misconduct or to keep their mouth shut.
That's right, I concur 100%. Let me shift gears here, news story. A police chief was in line at a drive-through. A black pregnant woman was in front of him. According to him, she's taking too long. So what does he do? What does the police chief do? He calls the damn police on the pregnant black woman trying to get medication in a drive-through for her child. I kid you not. Last week, it was decided that Homestead, Pennsylvania Police Chief Jeff DeSimone be suspended for 3 days for his activity without pay following a viral video of him harassing a pregnant black woman. Her name is Kamala Stewart. They call her Kay. Here's the video.
Persons are not ready. I've talked to them twice already. She refused.
She's on the phone right now, and it is ready. Man, get out of here. I've been here for 15 minutes. She said it was going to take 5 minutes. When he pulled behind me, yes. He's stressing me out because he thinks he's an officer and he could put his lights on and intimidate somebody. I was here waiting for my son's medicine. I've been here for 10, 15 minutes. The doctor said it would be ready. When I came here, she said it's going to take about 5 minutes for them to shake his medicine. He needs his medicine. Then he gets behind me acting all ignorant, beeping his horn at me and stuff. Here's his medicine right here. It's not fair that you think you can come and rush somebody. You're not going to come and rush me. That's just what drive-thru is for.
All you have to do is
I didn't have to do anything but stay black and die, sir. 2 cops, because this guy, who I think is a cop, called them to basically complain that I'm sitting here waiting for my prescription. Look at him. Look at him. police officer wants to speak to you. Okay. She's right there.
Are you gathering her prescriptions? Can you please expedite this? Thank you.
This is crazy. It's that privilege. Like you're using your authority. Yeah, they're expediting it. It's not my fault. Like she said, it was going to take 5 minutes. It's not my fault that it took 10, 15 minutes. If he's in a rush, he could have went in.
The damn police chief at a drive-through decides to call a gun. See, when you call the police, I want you to understand what you're doing. You're calling a gun into the situation. That's what you're doing. So he's in line. There's a black pregnant female, a black woman who's pregnant, getting medication for her child. She's in the drive-through 10 minutes or so. They're saying, hey, listen, 5 more minutes, we'll be able to have this to you. The establishment, they're not complaining. It's a drive-through. That's what it's for. It's for the convenience of the individual to remain in the car while they get things together. This police chief utilized and violated his authority as a police chief to call a gun to the situation. He called the cops on this woman. So put up a picture of this beautiful couple. Put up a picture. That's Miss Stewart. Yeah. Owner of House of Soul Catering in Pittsburgh. This is a restaurant. I'm giving them a shout out on purpose. Okay? Good people there. Here's a summary of the council meeting that ended up suspending the police chief for misusing his power. According to NBC's WPXI, the local borough council suspended DeSimone at a meeting on Thursday, August 19th. Several black Homestead residents allegedly expressed to the council that this was not the first time the police chief has exhibited this behavior, many calling for him to resign. According to Ms. Stewart, she began recording on her phone after this police chief approached her car and started cursing, then calling for police backup. Remember, she was aware that this was a police officer. He's actually a chief because he told her, all right? Stewart told WPXI, what were you thinking to put myself, my unborn child, and my 5-year-old ill son in danger like this? I was shocked, appalled. I can't believe you. Of all people, you're the chief of police. For you to turn on your lights and try to intimidate me was totally an abuse of power, and she is 100% accurate. Adrienne, we got a few seconds. What are your thoughts?
Without question, this was a grave abuse of power, trying to intimidate that woman to push her out of line, and then also calling his buddies to see if they can come help by using their force. Get out of here. You know what? I think I do commend those officers who tried to de-escalate the situation and also seem to side with the woman. There needs to be consequences here, but that chief should not be in a position of authority leading anyone. He is dangerous.
He's dangerous. He needs to resign. Actually, shame on the council for only giving him 3-day suspension without pay. This guy has horrible judgment. He's obviously biased. He's willing to utilize his authority in a manipulative and adversarial way to the citizens of that community. Time for him to go. We're going to continue to follow that police chief, and I will give you the update as soon as either A, he's fired, resigns, or he does something detrimental to one of those community members. Adrienne, if you would give out your information, how can people follow you? Check out your book.
Yeah, you can check out my book, Staying in the Game, the playbook for beating workplace sexual harassment. It's in the TYT store. It's also available everywhere books are sold, Amazon, Barnes and Nobles, et cetera, et cetera. And you can hit me up on social media, on Twitter at Adrienne Law, and on Instagram at Adrienne Lawrence.
Always a pleasure having you on the show. Thank you, sister. I appreciate you.
Thank you.
All right, stick and stay. The Bullpen is next. Indisputable.
So a lot of progressive office holders are doing something fun. I like fun. They're doing the last 2 years in 2 minutes. Okay, we're gonna try it here. First, I wanna let you guys know about the years before that. Hey, remember we started the Just Democrats here on the Young Turks. It was officially launched on our air, basically by you guys. And then we featured AOC, we featured Cori Bush, and Ro Khanna became the first ever Just Democrat incumbent, all on the Young Turks. Now, the last 2 years have been a spectacular follow-up to that. So let's put the 2 minutes on the clock and do this. Young Turks got to start back in 2002, and I think we've been an important part of the progressive movement ever since. What we mainly do is amplify the progressive voice and candidates out there, and I think we've done a pretty good job. Right now, we're currently #1 most engaged news politics network online, beating CNN, Fox News, and MSNBC, all of them. We're #1 in total minutes watched. That means not only the number of people watching, but how long they watch. We just crossed 20 million followers and 500 million monthly views. Now, why? That's because actually the country's progressive. It's 2/3 progressive. And you guys have allowed us to be your voice, and we're incredibly thankful for that. So what did we do with that voice? Well, let's look at 2019. We went all over the country talking to you guys and the candidates. So we were in Miami, we were in Detroit, we were in Houston, and we were in Iowa. In fact, we were all over Iowa. You guys were all over Iowa, and all of the candidates saw you guys. We had wonderful people speaking, like the one and only Nina Turner at our rallies. Bernie Sanders stopped by, Andrew Yang, Elizabeth Warren. We interviewed almost everyone on the campaign trail, with the exception of Biden and Buttigieg. And we held them accountable. We even did a progressive economic pledge, and so many wonderful people signed on to that. Bernie Sanders, Warren, Marianne Williamson, AOC, the entire squad, Justice Democrats, and so many others. Now, on top of all that, we started a show called The Conversation, where we featured so many progressive thinkers, writers, and candidates. And one of the candidates we featured in 2019 was Jamal Bowman. Here comes Jamal Bowman. Then we had an amazing 2020. We hired a climate reporter. Damage Report passed 500,000 subscribers. Young Turks passed 5 million subscribers. We're getting the message out to more and more people. Bernie Sanders comes on in the heat of the primary. He comes on after the election to say what we're gonna do for the future. And then Marie Newman wins. Jamal Bowman wins. Cori Bush wins. And then just when you thought it couldn't get any better, here comes Nina Turner. Hello, somebody. And she's running for Congress, and she comes on the Young Turks first. On election week, we had nearly 2 million hours of viewing. We're #1 destination for progressives. You made all that happen. This is amazing, and thank you for those 2 years. What, I went past 2 minutes? Of course!
Viewers had asked for an interview with the TYT Lizard. Mr. Lizard. Oh, you changed colors today. Nice. I don't even know how you feel about us. Do you even like us?
Well, you guys made me this awesome house, so I'm kind of in your debt. I was found outside on the street, and you gave me a home. Granted, it was a really crappy home for a while, but then through the power of fundraising, I became a person who has a multi-level Trump-style mansion.
You do. By the way, you never looked better, man. Normally, you're just green or just brown, but today you're in mid-lizard, right?
I'm not very smart. I'm a lizard, so I don't know how the science works. I guess this is just my mood. It's not every day that thresholds like this are broken. I'm just so excited. I can't contain my pigmentation.
And now you're showing it off.
Yep.
Yeah, I've never seen the lizard like this before.
All right, what's happening? Welcome back. We got a lot of viewer comments. Let's get to those viewer comments now. YouTube super chat. Amber May Fleming says, I have a mama bear question. What could I do if a Karen is physically threatening to my child? You don't want to know my answer. All right, Biden Flavor Corn Pop says, so now we can see, thanks to our phones and digital cameras, how black women are just as targeted as black men. Pregnancy means nothing to a slave overseer. That is correct. Nicole Smith says, most of these people don't have children at all, let alone children in the schools. They're protesting. They need to be prosecuted for harassment. I did find that quite interesting. During one of our segments, one of the most violent individuals at the school board meeting did not have a child at the school at all. Okay, Grandma Sunshine Dragon, thank you for that. Wraith Nurse Slayer, thank you. Osiris XTV. I wish I could pull up the pharmacy drive-through and say, can we expedite this? I know that's right. What an awesome power to have, right? Northern Ice Dragon, can't be cited for fraudulent use of police services. Sure, it's a whole lot of stuff he can be cited for. He won't be. He gets a 3-day suspension.
The installation process ensures your.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Bullpen. In the Bullpen today, we have Carrie Sheffield, Senior Policy Fellow, Independent Women's Forum. We're gonna talk about the Cuomo debacle along with Trump's debacle. I have no love for either of these gentlemen, but Carrie Sheffield, she sees some context here and nuance. Carrie, good day, welcome to Indisputable.
Thanks for having me, Doctor.
Absolutely, so let me just say this. I don't know exactly what you believe or presume about these two individuals. So before we get into our discussion, if you would give your point of view. What's your context here as it relates to the sexual harassment allegations against Cuomo and those that were levied against Donald Trump?
Sure, absolutely. Thanks for having me to discuss this. So when we're talking about sexual assault allegations, I and the legal system, my philosophy, my worldview is taken from our presumption of innocence in our legal system. So when we're approaching all of this, that's how I approach it. I believe the process of due process is very important. So it doesn't matter if it's Cuomo, if it's Joe Biden, if it's Donald Trump, whoever it is, if it's a college athlete who has been accused. Every single person, male or female, deserves due process. And the key word here is evidence. So when we're talking about whether a woman, and I actually say this as a survivor of sexual assault, and I've become friends with Gretchen Carlson, who took down Roger Ailes at Fox News, a very powerful figure. She said over and over, the key is evidence, that the reason she was successful at taking down Roger Ailes was she had the receipts, she had the recordings, she had the documentation, she had it there. And in the case of Cuomo, there were receipts. Over and over, contemporaneous receipts, whether it was written text messages, whether it was complaints that were filed with HR, whether it was the governor's office releasing confidential client or personnel files. This is data, this is evidence, this is something that we see that was contemporaneous, that was happening in real time in the case of Roger Ailes, in the case of Cuomo, but we don't see this in the case of Donald Trump. And so that's why I think there is a huge difference. When you look at the women who have come forward, there were only, I believe, 2 women who made the allegations before Trump sought office. One happened to be his ex-wife, Ivana. And we know that when it comes to divorce and custody battles, women make all sorts of complaints that tend to be proven either they withdraw or they're proven false. And in the case of Ivana, she withdrew her allegation. And then the case of Autumn, who was the contestant, her allegation has to do actually with comments that Trump has made about her. So it's more a libel case as opposed to the actual substance of the assault itself. And then when you look at all the other women, these are women who came forward. I believe in many cases they are politically motivated. But again, I am all for evidence. I am all for protecting women who have suffered sexual assault. It is a brutal, horrific feeling. I know this personally, but at the same time, we have to have evidence.
Okay, all right, you're talking out of both sides of your mouth. And let me show you where you're talking out of both sides at. Number one, you talk about the presumption of innocence. The presumption of innocence only applies to the court of American law. It only applies inside of our courtroom. There is no presumption of innocence in the court of public opinion. You and I are practitioners in the court of public opinion. We are not in the court of law, number one. Number two, over 90% of sexual assault harassment is not reported in these United States of America. So if you want to go by the legitimacy of a claim based on when a woman decides to tell her story, I think that's a non-starter, and it does not support those victims. As you say, you do support those victims. Also, when we talk about the cases, remember Donald Trump's ex-wife actually accused him of rape, right? That's a real thing. That's not something that she said later on. That's something she said in the moment. But literally, you have 25 to 30 individuals who have said that they are victims or were victims of Donald Trump. Now, I'm not here to defend Cuomo. Cuomo is a piece of ish as far as I'm concerned. He, in my humble opinion, sexually Okay, we had a technical issue. My apologies for that. Continuing on my thought, I do not defend Cuomo. I think Cuomo sexually harassed other women. I don't care that he's a Democrat. I don't care that he has championed things that I actually believe in. If he's not the right person for the job because of his personal behavior and activity, I am completely fine with letting you know that is not my guy. Cuomo is not my guy, and I will not defend him and try to invalidate the victims of Cuomo. But you're on my show right now, madam. You're on my show right now, trying to invalidate 25 victims of Donald J. Trump. Let me ask you a direct question, because once again, all of this presumption of innocence malarkey and due process, that's under the court system, not in the court of public opinion where you and I actually operate, okay? Do you think Donald Trump has ever sexually harassed women? Personally, do you believe it or not?
Well, first, I'm gonna reject the characterization. You're putting words in my mouth that I'm trying to invalidate these women. I am absolutely not.
Do you believe them?
I believe their stories should be told. Absolutely, I do. I believe their stories should be told. But at the same time, again, I believe that perpetrators of sexual assault should be prosecuted to the fullest extent, not only in the court of public opinion, but also in the court of law. So you're saying that it only matters in the court of public opinion, and I'm saying it matters in both. If there was criminal behavior by Donald Trump, not only do I want him to have accountability in the public court of opinion, I want him to have accountability in the public court of law. And that was my problem that I saw with what the Democrats did with the Kavanaugh case. I know that lots of people, again, in the court of public opinion tried to say there's a double standard between how Republicans behave, for example, in the Kavanaugh case. But what happened when Christine Blasey Ford came forward to the Democrats in California with this allegation? They sat on the allegation for a whole month. They did not publicize it because they were trying to make a political strategy here. They were trying to make a political partisan statement, and I think I firmly reject anyone who wants to politicize when a woman says they've been sexually assaulted. So instead of turning this over to the FBI and instead of turning it over for a criminal investigation, what did they do? They sat on it for a whole month while they came up with their political strategy, and then they contacted the authorities. So I reject the politicization of any form of sexual assault or allegation about it. And it's ample evidence of Republicans who have resigned because of sexual assault allegations. For example, Trent Franks, he's a Republican out of Arizona. He resigned the exact same week that Al Franken resigned, but there was far less attention. Again, it's a double standard. Another GOP congressman, Blake Fartenhold, he resigned because there was allegations stretching back 7 years. I'm not gonna defend these guys. Joe Barton.
Okay, you're defending Donald Trump though.
No, I'm just saying.
You're defending Donald Trump. So let me ask you the question again because you did not answer it. Do you believe personally, we are not in a court of law? Do you believe personally that Donald Trump sexually harassed women in his lifetime?
Again, when I look at the evidence and I see the evidence, you're saying the word belief. For me, as a Christian, the word belief has a spiritual connotation.
Like what?
It's something that can't be proven. To me, I believe in God. I don't see God, but I believe in God.
All right, so you didn't see Trump sexually harass anybody, but because you have belief, you can believe that he did, right? You don't have to see it. You believe in God, you don't see God.
I'm saying you want me to believe is.
I'm asking you, do you believe he did it or not? That's a yes or no.
I'm saying there's evidence that I don't see evidence of it. I have not seen.
Witness testimony is evidence, madam.
I'm sorry?
Witness testimony is evidence.
And Trump has said his witness testimony to the reverse. So again.
So you're telling me that Trump's one testimony outweighs 25 others?
You as a black man in this country.
Oh, don't try that with me, madam.
No, I'm just saying.
No, hell to the no. Don't you try that with me.
I'm just
Carrie,
saying,
be careful.
Be
careful, go ahead, let me hear it.
I'm saying in this country.
I'm not the one though.
People have accused black men of sexual assault in this country under Jim Crow. There has been a presumption in the public opinion, whether there's evidence or not, there is a long, horrible history of bias against men. And we see this over and over. So I am not gonna say without evidence that Donald Trump or any other man, but in the case of Cuomo, there was evidence. I'm not gonna defend all these other Republicans. When you had the guy who was running for Senate, the Republican, the guy who had all these allegations, very proven and specific allegations with evidence. I went on MSNBC and I said, as a Republican, I reject him. I don't want him. I wanted Republicans to retain the Senate. So it shouldn't be about party.
Okay, so let me first tell you how disgusting it is that you will utilize the plight of discriminatory behavior against.
I'm saying.
Ma'am, I allowed you to finish, madam.
Sure. But
I'm personally
to call me a disgusting person. I'm sorry. That
Madam, what you did to me is disgusting. That is my opinion about what you did.
Disgusting to accuse someone falsely of sexual assault. I think it's disgusting for you.
I allowed you to finish, madam. I really gave you the respect due to a serious program. I allowed you to finish your commentary. Will you allow me to have a rebuttal to what you said to me? Okay. I find it disgusting that you will utilize the historical discriminatory behavior of individuals, racist, bigoted people in the system, how they have treated black and brown folks, in particular black men, as a way to characterize your defense of an individual who has received every benefit and privilege this country can offer. I find it morally reprehensible that would be your comparative model. But let me remind you very clearly, that according to what you're saying on this show, that the 25 victims who have said that Donald Trump sexually harassed them, some of them said that Donald Trump actually raped them, that those 25 individuals, their voices are not as strong or legitimate as the denial of the one man known as Donald J. Trump. That's what you're saying on my show, that you do not believe that Donald Trump committed any acts of sexual harassment. Is that what you're saying?
I'm saying, first of all, I'm quite offended that you call me disgusting.
I didn't call you disgusting, madam. I said the way you characterized what you said was disgusting. I don't know you personally. I'm not calling you disgusting. I don't know what you are. But I do know what you said was disgusting to me. So get the story right when you put this on Twitter or wherever else. What you said, the way you compared it, that was disgusting to me.
No, well, you know what? It's disgusting to me what you just said. As a victim of sexual assault who has been victimized by a man, you're gonna tell me that my perception of sexual assault is disgusting. I find that
not what I said, madam.
Really offensive. And let me tell you something. I happen to believe in colorblind justice. I don't care if you're a white man. I don't care if you're a black man. I think it's disgusting disgusting when anyone brings a false allegation. It doesn't matter. So I will defend any black man. I will defend any white man. And
Carrie, let me just ask you.
I don't believe the word.
Who brought a false allegation against Donald Trump? Who?
Women, some of them who were politically motivated. Women who brought it without evidence.
But who? Whose allegation is false? Who?
It has to do with evidence. These women,
you said false.
None of them
just
reported
because you lack. Wait a minute, Carrie. Just because you lack evidence. Wait a minute, sister. Just because you lack evidence does not mean what you're saying is false. So you just said on my show, these are false allegations. Who levied false allegations against Donald Trump? Who?
These are unproven allegations. So you want me to go on your program?
You said false.
Say that
that you're saying that they were lying.
I'm saying they're unproven. So in the court against law, they're unproven. And again, Donald Trump, while he was in office, and I think it's very important to talk about this issue with Jim Crow history, because the Trump administration implemented campus sexual assault reforms. And there was study after study showing that the people who benefited most from rolling back a system that did not allow for due process on campus assault, when it came to campus assault, it was black men who benefited from it. And guess who wants to repeal that? Joe Biden. Joe Biden wants to repeal the reforms that Donald Trump's administration under Betsy DeVos put into place to bring due process to sexual assault people who have been accused of this. And it's black men who are going to disproportionately be hurt by what Joe Biden is doing. Not to mention, we haven't even talked about Joe Biden and the sexual assault allegation that was brought about against him. And there was a Senate documentation. She filed, the woman who made this allegation against Joe Biden, she filed with the Senate office about this. And she alleges Tara Reade that she was fired because of the allegation that she made. She also told her mother, and her mother called into CNN to Larry King's show, and you could hear her voice, it matches.
Do you believe that she was sexually assaulted by Joe Biden?
I'm saying there's a lot more evidence for what she has said than what any of the other women who have said about Donald Trump. Again, to me.
Well, here's what Donald Trump has, Ms. Sheffield, and I don't have unlimited time on the show. He has 26 accusers. Donald Trump has 26 accusers. You're telling me that all 26 of these accusers are lying?
I'm saying the Trump campaign has said this. Joe Biden,
I don't give a damn what the Trump campaign said. I'm asking you directly, madam. Do you believe these 26 women who have told their stories, just like you have a story, they have told their stories, and I'm trying to hold my composure here, because you, ma'am, I believe you when you tell me you're a victim. You were a victim of sexual harassment. I believe you, and I'm sorry that you went through that. But to think about this, you're the senior policy fellow at Independent Women's Forum. Be an independent woman, stop playing the partisan game and tell the God honest truth. You know good and damn well all 26 of these women are not lying about Donald J. Trump.
You know what Joe Biden said, because Tara Reade's not the only one who's accused him. He said, and the same thing other men have said, maybe Donald Trump did things that made these women uncomfortable. Maybe Joe Biden did things that made women uncomfortable. Where do you draw that line between uncomfortable and assault? I don't know. But again, I think it is very important to fall on the justice system. I think that's the problem in what you and I do. Yes, we are with the court of public opinion, but when we divorce what we do from the court of law, this is a big problem, because this is when you have a miscarriage of justice. This is when someone who is unpopular or of a certain background can be thrown under the bus in the public opinion. I think it's wrong. I think it's unjust. So whether it's Joe Biden or Donald Trump, I think they should repent. And I agree with you. If they did something wrong, they should repent. Absolutely. But I am not going to sit here and say that we should not look with our own eyes. God gave us our eyes to look at evidence.
Yeah, and I want you to look at this evidence as well. Over 90% of sexual assaults are not reported. That means the criminal justice system is getting roughly maybe 5, maybe up to 8% of the actual sexual assault crimes. They're able to handle it. That means the rest of it is up to us in the court of public opinion, okay? We may not have the criminal justice system at our disposal as it relates to things that are extra, that are outside of the court. But we do have the court of public opinion. We do have the ability to convene in broadcast forums like this, and we have the platforms to tell the God honest truth. Ms. Sheffield, I'm out of time, but I do appreciate you being on the program. Thank you.
Thank you. God bless.
God bless you as well. All right, ladies and gentlemen, take care of yourself, take care of each other, and take care of the planet. I remember the truth is always indisputable.